Hey guys, welcome back to the Playroom. Today we're going to take a look at a few figures from my Vietnam era G.I. Joe collection. I created these figures using almost exclusively G.I. Joe and Cotswold Elite Brigade parts. Now the first figure that I'm going to show you is from FAO Schwarz, and it's their exclusive, their Special Forces Operator figure. And I have to say that this is one of my all-time favorite G.I. Joe figures. All of the medals, patches, and badges included in the set are the real deal. No plastic phonies here. Now, if I remember correctly, this set was available in 1998, and the figure originally came dressed in the olive drab jungle fatigue uniform. Now, the medals that are included are the Vietnam Service Medal, the Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal with the date bar, and the National Defense Service Medal. It also includes the Combat Infantryman's Badge, Special Forces Shoulder Patch, and Beret Badge. The whole thing came in a beautiful wooden display case you could hang up on the wall. And that's where mine stayed until a couple of years ago I saw where Cotswold Collectables released their version of the Bogam or the Duck Hunter camouflage uniform that was used by the Special Forces in the early 60s. Now, while I had the figure out of the box, I went ahead and upgraded his equipment with a set from Dragon Models Limited. And I also gave him a set of the French jungle boots that I'd purchased from Cotswold Collectables. Cotswold did a real good job of reproducing the Duck Hunter camouflage pattern. And you can see it right here. I've got a photograph of the real thing. I'd have to say that that's pretty accurate. Now, the reason that this pattern was called the Duck Hunter pattern is because in the early 60s, the U.S. Army didn't provide any camouflage uniforms. So the Special Forces guys had to go out and buy their own. Places like, I don't know, Sears and Roebuck. Anyway, that's how it got its name. But after a while, the Special Forces guys started to have their uniforms made locally. And as the demand grew, they also brought them in from the Philippines and from Thailand. Now our next figure is a Special Forces operator dressed in the standard Army issue olive green jungle fatigue. He wears the classic Special Forces green beret, and he's also equipped with Army issue load-bearing equipment, ammo pouches, canteen, and a Smith & Wesson sidearm. He also carries the M16 rifle and smoke grenades. And he also has a special purpose bag across his shoulder for all those little things you just can't leave home without. Now, this next figure is one that's near and dear to my heart. It's the UH-1 Huey door gunner or crew chief figure. That's what Big Sarge did when he was in the Army. He's dressed in the two-piece Nomex flight suit, and he also wears the SPH-4 flight helmet. Here's what one looks like. Big Sarge still has his, and it occupies a place of honor in the playroom. I still have my flight suits too, but they're only about 40 sizes too small. He also wears the anti-ballistic aircrew body armor, otherwise known as the chicken plate or the bullet bouncer. It was pretty heavy, but it was cheap insurance. The vest had removable ceramic plates inside to protect the vital areas. And, well, you know, they may have been a pain in the neck to wear, but glad to have it when times got tough. Now, he's armed with the M60 machine gun, and these were called the Free 60 because they were held by a big bungee strap that was attached to the roof of the cabin. This allowed you freedom of movement that you otherwise wouldn't have if the gun was hard mounted. Now, the next figure in the lineup is an Air Force crew chief or line maintenance technician. Now, this guy's a technical sergeant, an E6, and he would be seen on the flight line overseeing maintenance operations refueling, arrival and departure of aircraft, weapons load, that kind of thing. He's dressed in the OG 107 uniform and field jacket. And I want to give a shout out to Robin at 1/6 Scale King. He's the one that created all of the rank and insignia on this figure and all the others. If you need patches, badges, or insignia made for any of your troops, he's the man to see. Now, I created this figure probably 15 or more years ago, and the patches that he made for me look just as nice as the day that he made them. I can't say enough good things about Robin. I know it's a kind of plain looking figure, but those guys did a vital job that was as important as any of the guys on the front lines. Alright, our next figure is a Navy fighter pilot. He's dressed in Cotswold Collectables version of the lightweight nylon flight suit and the Mark II Mae West survival vest. He wears his tan naval side cap with his rank and insignia, and he's also carrying his APH-6 flight helmet. These helmets were made by Cotswold Collectables and are a really nice little piece. I don't think they're available on that site anymore, but don't quote me, I could be wrong. Here's a picture of the real thing. Looks pretty close, doesn't it? These were the guys that flew the subsonic, unpressurized ground attack aircraft like the A-1 Sky Raider. Their call sign was Sandy, and they were real lifesavers to ground units who were in trouble. Probably one of the best ground attack aircraft in Vietnam. Now, from low and slow, we go to high and fast. Here we have an Air Force fighter pilot wearing the K-2B orange flight suit, and he's also wearing the anti-G suit. These suits were engineered to prevent blackout or loss of consciousness by applying pneumatic pressure to the pilot's legs and abdomen. Now, this set is a copy of the original G.I. Joe G-pants made by Cotswold Collectables. He's also wearing his blue Air Force side cap, and he also has a shoulder holster with a .38 pistol. And these items were also made by Cotswold. Now, the orange coveralls didn't make much sense in Vietnam, but they were a holdover from the 1950s, and they were soon replaced by the sage green CWU-27P Nomex flight suits. Bright orange is not what you want to be wearing when you're trying to escape and evade in the jungle. And so, from high and fast, we go back to low and slow. We have a U.S. Air Force forward air controller pilot, dressed in the sage green Nomex uniform, the orange life vest. He's got his blue Air Force cap, and he's also wearing his parachute pack. The figure is dressed with a combination of G.I. Joe and Cotswold Collectables equipment. The hat, flight suit, flight helmet, and parachute are all G.I. Joe. The rest of the accessories are from Cotswold, except for the boots. They're also from G.I. Joe, and they're from the Australian Jungle Fighter figure. And I only just noticed that his dog tags say Army Air Force instead of U.S. Air Force. I didn't notice it until after I'd already made this video. I'll have to change that. Okay, so the last figure is a 40th anniversary edition U.S. Air Force talking pilot. He's dressed almost exactly like the previous Air Force fighter pilot figure. Now, when you pull his dog tag, he says 5 or 6 different phrases. So I'm pulling the dog tag, and nothing's happening. I guess he's got nothing to say. Probably needs a battery change. Oh well. Alright, after a little minor surgery, he should be good to go. So let's give him a try and see what he's got to say.
for takeoff.
All right, there you have it. Part 1 of the G.I. Joe Elite Brigade Vietnam era figure collection. Well, that's it for today, guys. But come on back anytime. Playroom's always open. Big Sarge is always here.